Hey, what's happening? So I'm going to touch briefly on being a rhythm player and how that makes you better in general. A lot of aspiring guitar players, even people who have become fairly accomplished with the instrument, are focusing so much on solos and all the fancy schmancy parts, which of course are the fun parts that they tend to neglect. One of the most important aspects of the instrument. It's a rhythm instrument. Everything I just did right there, while improvised, was dealing with rhythm in some way. The things that we do to make a solo more interesting often are a combination of dynamics, which I've talked about before, the loud and soft of it, and rhythm. What we do rhythmically can really contribute to what we're doing. Also, from my own experience, when I spent about 8 years playing acoustic guitar and as a solo artist before I ever even put together a band, before I even picked up an electric for more than just noodling around. And the first thing I realized when I put together my first band was my rhythm was loose, man. Now, do you need to work with a click track or a metronome? Yeah, maybe. You're going to hate it. But what you do with those is you learn to anticipate the beat. And if you can play it as tightly as a robot, literally, okay, then you're not going to have any problem keeping up with a drummer and a bass player. Of course, part of the key to working with a band is you're listening to the entire band. You're not just hearing your own instrument. A huge problem with guitarists, don't be that one, where they're so involved in their own playing that they're not listening to the whole group. It sounds a little overwhelming. Oh, I have to listen to the whole group, but I'm trying to get my part right. Yes, but you'll get out of your head when you start listening to the whole group as one instrument. You'll start to hear your guitar as something more out here and less something right here. And you'll stop getting so wrapped up in your own self, and you'll start to realize the giving nature of the music too. The difference between when I play a solo show and when I play with just my keyboardist, or when I play just with my bass player, or just with my other vocalist, also on a rhythm guitar, or with the whole band, every one of those lineups is different. Even though we're playing my music, it's my gig, it's my, I'm putting it all together, I'm the band leader, etc. Every one of those is a little bit different, because why? I'm listening to the other artists, I'm listening to the other musicians, and adjusting my own playing, even of my own songs, to accommodate what they're doing. So you can only do that effectively if you're a really strong rhythm player first. Be an amazing rhythm player before you try to be an amazing soloist. It'll make your solos better. You'll be able to do what I just did a little bit, where you hit a chord, nail a solo, and come back where the beat belongs, and not someplace you decided to put it because you needed an extra one to breathe or move and that kind of stuff, which is all very normal and all very common, and part of why it's difficult, all right? But it's necessary to get beyond that sort of thing. It's necessary to be able to really keep tight rhythm all the time. Don't be that loose guitarist who's been playing alone for many years. It happened to me, like I said, and I remember it vividly. I remember up there on stage going, wait a minute, this isn't working, and it's me. In fact, anytime that I think I mentioned this in other videos, anytime that I've ever been on stage with my group and there was something that I felt like something wasn't jiving, unless it was some clear, mistake by one of the other, members of my group, inevitably it was me not listening to the band. That's all. It was me not making sure that my timing was in there with theirs, because we all, while you may be able to play with a metronome or a click track, or an electronic drum track, or whatever you like to work with to tighten up your rhythm, again, all of which are worth doing, all of which will be frustrating, but it's worth the trouble. No matter how well you can play with those, And no matter how tight the group is, there is still a little movement, a little give and take, a little pull against that rhythm. When I took a master class in classical guitar with this guy, Manuel Barwaco, and he found out that I was a contemporary guitarist, not a classical guitarist. And he said, wow, I've never met a bunch of people more particular about the beat than rock and roll musicians. And he experienced it because he did work with rock groups as well. They needed a classical guitar track on an album, for instance. He also did a really good album if you want to check something out that's really fun. Nylon and Steel, Manuel Barwaco. It's good stuff. So, and it's true. When we're dealing with the drum kit, we're dealing with a bass player, the rhythm cannot be loose. When you don't have those things, the rhythm is going to be, because we don't have somebody clarifying it. Unless you have a rhythm instrument. That's what this is. It's a rhythm instrument, you know. By the way, if you're a teacher and you want to make sure people are getting on that, remember, the dominant hand keeps time. That's what I start with all beginners. Dominant hand keeps time. Occasionally, you can hit the up strum. It's another aspect of guitar that many guitarists neglect, and that is focusing on the dominant hand. I say the dominant hand in respect to left-handed guitarists, okay, who are playing it the other way around if they've got a lefty guitar. So the strumming hand, okay, that's where all the timing is happening. The left hand has to keep up. So there are a lot of ways to break it down. But yes, very often, the strumming hand, the dominant hand, is being neglected, and so is the rhythm. Just so I can say I can make it between a couple chords. Well, the song ain't gonna hold together that way. We call it keeping time. It doesn't wait for you. Time doesn't wait for you. All right. So work on it. Hey, thanks for listening and watching. And remember, if you're working on learning guitar and you're using videos online or using apps and that sort of thing, that's cool. Make them supplemental. Find an individual to work with as well. Everything that I do is meant to be, with these videos, is meant to be supplemental to lessons that you're already getting. Plenty of people are self-taught. I did a lot of self-teaching, but I still had gaps in my knowledge, and I had to go to teachers to fill them in because the objectivity and the one-on-one attention is necessary. You need somebody who can work with you specifically as an individual and understand your particular needs. So go find a great teacher. I do have a video that tells you how to find a good guitar teacher. And of course, in it, I point out that I'm a guitar teacher. But I'll tell you what, I really prefer to do lessons one-on-one, face-to-face. And that's why these videos are meant to be supplementary. So make sure you have a solid foundation. If you're feeling lost, you're not an idiot. The videos can't teach you everything. All right. So keep on practicing. Perfect practice makes perfect. We're striving for excellence. That's what we're looking for. Perfection. Yeah. If we had perfection, what would we have to write about? Everything's perfect. I don't have any good songs now. All right. Peace.